If you own a firearm in the United States right now, what you don't know about these new laws could land you in federal prison. Stay with me because the next 10 minutes could literally save your freedom. Here's what's happening and why it matters to every single gun owner across this country. Over the past several months leading into 2026, we have seen a wave of significant changes sweeping through federal and state level gun legislation, executive actions, and landmark court decisions that are reshaping what it means to legally own, carry, and purchase a firearm in America. And the dangerous part? Most gun owners have absolutely no idea these changes have taken effect. The mainstream media isn't covering the full picture. Your local gun store might not even be up to date. So if nobody is telling you, who is protecting your rights? That's exactly why we're here today. These changes affect everyday Americans, whether you're a first time buyer, a concealed carry holder, a collector, or someone who's owned firearms for decades. The rules of the game have shifted, and the consequences of getting it wrong are not a fine or a slap on the wrist. We're talking felony charges, lifetime bans on firearm ownership, and in some cases, mandatory minimum sentencing. So take 2 minutes away from whatever is distracting you right now, because this is the kind of information that protects your Second Amendment rights and your life outside of bars. Let's break this down clearly so there is zero confusion about what has changed and what it means for you personally. The first major update involves what the federal government has done with the definition of a firearm dealer. Under rules that began rolling out and were enforced more aggressively heading into 2026, the ATF, which is the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, has dramatically expanded who qualifies as someone who is in the business of dealing firearms. What does that mean in plain language? It means that if you sell even a small number of guns privately, whether at a gun show, through an online listing, or even between friends, you could now be required under federal interpretation to hold a federal firearms license, commonly known as an FFL. In the past, the law had what people referred to as the personal collection exception. You could sell guns from your own personal collection without being classified as a dealer. That exception still technically exists, but the threshold for what triggers dealer classification has been dramatically narrowed. Here's a real world example so this lands properly. Let's say you bought 5 handguns over the past 2 years, and you decide to sell 3 of them because you need cash, or you simply changed your taste in firearms. Under the new federal interpretation, the ATF can examine your intent, the frequency of your sales, and whether you are making a profit, and they can classify you as an unlicensed dealer. Selling firearms without an FFL as an unlicensed dealer is a federal felony. That is up to 5 years in federal prison per offense. The second massive update involves background check system upgrades. The NICS system, which is the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, has been updated with new data pipelines pulling in records from state mental health agencies, certain civil court proceedings, and updated criminal databases that were previously not fully integrated. What this means practically is that some buyers who passed background checks in 2024 might now be flagged in 2025 or 2026 when attempting a new purchase, or even when renewing certain permits, because records that weren't previously visible to the federal system are now there. And here's the part that keeps gun rights attorneys busy at night. If you were approved before and you believe you are legally eligible to own a firearm, you need to verify that your record is clean in these updated systems before your next transaction. Because a denial can trigger an investigation, even if the denial itself was made in error. Now let's go deeper, because there are 2 more critical areas you need to understand before we get to what you should actually do. The third significant update involves suppressor and NFA item regulations. If you own or are considering purchasing a suppressor, a short-barreled rifle, or any other item regulated under the National Firearms Act, the processing timelines, approval procedures, and in some jurisdictions, the local law compliance requirements have changed. Some states that previously had no restrictions on NFA items have passed new laws creating additional layers of approval or outright banning civilian ownership of certain classes. Meanwhile, at the federal level, there have been ongoing legal battles and regulatory guidance updates that affect how Form 4 transfers are processed and how trusts holding NFA items are treated. If you have an NFA trust, meaning you created a legal trust specifically to hold suppressed weapons or short-barreled firearms, you need to consult a firearms attorney to confirm that your trust structure still complies with the current regulatory environment. Because non-compliant trusts have created serious legal exposure for owners who had no idea anything changed. The fourth area, and this one is arguably the most urgent, involves the ongoing wave of state-level legislation that has been passing in rapid succession. More than a dozen states have enacted or updated laws in the past 12 months, covering things like assault weapons definitions, high-capacity magazine restrictions, red flag law expansions, and waiting period extensions. Now, here's why this matters even if you live in a gun-friendly state. Americans move, people travel with firearms, and what is completely legal in your home state may be a felony the moment you cross a state line. There was a case that circulated in legal circles earlier this year involving a law-abiding gun owner who drove through a state with his legally owned magazines in his vehicle. He didn't stop, he didn't intend to use them, he was simply passing through. He was stopped for a traffic violation, and those magazines got him arrested under that state's laws because he was unaware the law had changed. Transportation rules matter. Interstate travel with firearms has a federal safe harbor provision under FMJRA, the Firearm Owners Protection Act, but that protection has specific requirements and it does not cover every type of firearm or accessory. You need to know the exact conditions before you get in your car. So what do you actually do with all of this information? Here is your action plan, and do not skip this part because this is where knowing the law turns into protecting yourself. Step 1. Audit your current firearms and accessories against both federal and your state's updated laws. This means physically reviewing what you own and cross-referencing it with the most current state statutes and ATF guidance. Don't rely on what was legal last year. Laws have changed. Step 2. If you have been selling firearms privately, even casually, stop immediately and consult with a licensed firearms attorney before your next sale. Determine whether your activity has crossed the threshold of what the federal government now considers dealing. This is not a gray area where you want to guess. Step 3. If you plan to travel across state lines with any firearm, suppressor, or high-capacity magazine, map your route and research the current laws in every state you will enter. The Firearm Owners Protection Act provides some protection for transport, but it requires your firearm to be unloaded, locked in a case, inaccessible from the vehicle's passenger compartment, and you must be traveling to or from a place where possession is legal. That means a quick stop for gas with a loaded firearm on your seat is not protected. Step 4. Verify your background check eligibility. If you have any civil court orders, mental health records, past arrests even without convictions, or any other legal history, have a firearms attorney run a background check audit before your next purchase or permit renewal. The updated NICS databases are catching things they missed before. Step 5. If you own NFA items or a firearms trust, schedule a review with a qualified attorney in 2026. The regulatory environment for these items is shifting, and what protected you legally 2 years ago may need to be updated. Your trust documentation, the way responsible persons are listed, and state-level compliance requirements all need a fresh review. Look, I want to be straight with you. The Second Amendment is one of the most important rights you have as an American citizen, but rights without knowledge are paper shields. The people who wrote those laws know most citizens won't read them, won't track the updates, and won't take action until something goes wrong. Don't be that person. The gun owners who protect their rights are the ones who stay informed, who take these updates seriously, and who make sure that every step they take is legally sound. You've watched this far, which means you take this seriously. So take that same energy and translate it into action today. Not next week, not when you get around to it, today. Because the law doesn't care about your intentions. It only cares about what you did and whether it complied with what was in effect at the time. Before you go, I need you to do 3 things right now. First, hit that like button immediately. It sounds simple, but it is what tells the algorithm to push this information to other gun owners who are completely unaware of what you just learned. Every gun owner who doesn't see this video is one more person at risk of unknowingly breaking a law that didn't exist 2 years ago. Second, subscribe and turn on notifications because these laws are not done changing. There are court decisions pending right now, state legislative sessions in progress, and ATF regulatory updates in the pipeline that will affect you in the coming months. This channel is where you stay ahead of it. Third, drop a comment below and tell me which state you're in and what specific gun law change concerns you the most. I read the comments, I build future videos based on what you tell me, and right now your question might be the one that protects thousands of other viewers who have the exact same concern but haven't asked yet. This community is built on protecting rights together. Stay informed, stay legal, and we'll see you in the next one.